Ladies and gentlemen, we were so fortunate to have Leonard Brody come in all the way from LA. And I liked that twist on the traditional presentation. We have a lot of people come here and give us a little bit more of a straightforward fashion journey through their business model and what they see. But Leonard promised to shake things up, and I believe he really did deliver. So thank you so much, Leonard Brody. Now we have our finale for day 3 here at Expand North Star. So of course we've still got one full day ahead tomorrow, an action-packed schedule. We start here again at 11 o'clock. So please do join us. I think it's going to be a wonderful way for us to mark this Expand North Star journey, expanding into this new venue here at the Dubai Harbour. There's a wonderful program that's been planned. But the finale for today, to really kind of round up day 3, we have Espree, Devora, joining us again on stage to moderate this session. She's a producer and host of many tech podcasts. Please do look her up. She, like our last guest, has also come in from LA especially, with Dan Westgarth, who is co-founder and COO of Deel US. He was here earlier on stage, but it's wonderful to have this dedicated session with Dan and Espree taking over. So please do welcome them on this stage, and I'll be back with a few more announcements for tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Hello! How are we doing? Closing out the night. How exciting is this? Hi, Dan.
Hello, hello.
Are we ready to inspire, entertain, educate, connect, all the things?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, hello, Expand North Star. Such a privilege to be here with you this afternoon. Dan, go ahead just to kind of calibrate everything. Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hello, everybody. My name's Dan Westgarth. I'm the COO of Deel. Deel is an international HR platform. We help companies hire, onboard, and manage their global workforce. We have about 3,000 people on the team in over 100 different countries, and we boast a venture valuation of above 10 billion US dollars.
So, Dan, I hear that you're the master of HR. You can tell us how to have effective talent. The first thing I must know, what do we do in this remote, digital, borderless land compared to how we were so in office before? How do we source and retain the right talent?
Yeah, I think that companies now focus on skills rather than the location of people. And historically, we haven't really seen that. We've seen location first, typically in a 30 to 50 mile radius of an office. Now we're seeing companies really focus in on the skills. That's kind of when it comes to looking for the talent, and then when it comes to hiring them and offering a competitive package to retain them, we're seeing all types of new things in the space. For example, we are seeing a very high demand for people to be paid in US dollars in non-US countries. We never really saw that before. And going one step further than that, we've seen people want to get paid in crypto, which is really interesting. Yeah. I think when it comes to working remotely, the tooling is really important, making sure that there's a good instant communication channel, whether it's Slack or Teams. I think collaborative software, project management software such as Jira, Monday are also really important things, and then making sure that people have optimized workflows. They know how to use these tools. They have, let's say, remote work etiquette it's also a really important part.
I'm curious because especially now that we're not in the office space as much as we were before, we have to kind of have our pulse on culture because every teammate has a different culture, different rituals that they follow. What would you suggest when someone is hiring to be thoughtful in their communication strategies in order to lead an effective team and be respectful of their individual needs?
I think the fundamentals haven't shifted from when we were in office versus hybrid versus remote, but there's more emphasis on testing people against those fundamentals. I think every company should have a strong set of values or principles, and then during the interview process, the interviewer needs to figure out if that person aligns with those values or principles. And that has been pretty easy in person. Speaking to somebody, picking up on their body language makes that assessment, I would say, somewhat easier. Doing that through a screen or a phone call is much more difficult.
Yeah.
So we've had to develop techniques to try and dig a little bit deeper and break down that kind of digital paywall that exists with electronic communication and really figure out, does that person align with your values?
And outside of culture, what are some of the other challenges that you think we're experiencing in a remote work culture?
Regulation. Regulation is a huge one. I think in business, people think about regulation in the product that is being built and being sold, so kind of consumer regulation, or if it's a B2B, maybe there's some type of other business licensing needed. But if you think about remote work, there's a huge part of labor regulation and workforce regulation, and that typically is handled by your HR leader in your headquarters or in your country. When you're doing that on a global basis, it maybe doesn't make sense to have HR leaders in every single country or jurisdiction that you operate. So navigating that regulation is really tough, and that's where Deel comes in. We've productized that kind of regulatory compliance on the labor side of things.
I'm curious, you're so passionate about HR. When did that passion ignite, and what's the relationship with Deel and that passion you had? How is Deel solving that passion for you?
Yeah, a Deel, one of the things that gets us all really excited is giving people in emerging markets and smaller economies access to earn money and earn material money. Now, if you rewind a decade or a couple of decades ago, it was very hard for somebody in an emerging market. Let's take sub-Saharan Africa, for example. It's very difficult for someone there to get a high-paying job unless it's in a very small number of sectors where there's a very limited number of opportunities. And you're probably not going to be able to take those opportunities unless you have some type of existing connection through family or friends or whatever else. You move to markets like America, the UK, Western Europe, where things are developed and things are fluid, the playing field is not completely level, but it is certainly more level than my previous example. With Deel, we are leveling that playing field globally. So somebody from a village in an emerging market is able to get a job at a Fortune 500 company.
What are some of the challenges that aren't top of mind that you're noticing that a company would benefit from being aware of so that they could go into their HR experiences more prepared than they are currently?
Yeah, I think the multicultural aspect of remote work and global work is a really interesting one. At Deel, we have 3,000 people in over 100 different countries. That's just about every time zone, every religion, and with that comes different social norms, different holiday schedules, different ways of working. Some countries work from Sunday to Thursday, others are Monday to Friday.
Totally.
And aligning all of that across a global policy is really tough. And I think you've got to go country by country, figure out what is required and what is the norm, and then build a global policy around that.
What are some of the long-term permanent changes that the pandemic created in the HR space?
I personally believe that companies would always eventually use and adopt a globalized pool of talent. However, it might have taken a long time to do so. And the pandemic made companies think, well, people are in lockdown right now. They can work from their homes within the same city or the same metropolitan area or wider area, the same country. Well, maybe they can work across border as well. And we saw that the really fast-moving and small startups and SMBs reacted very quickly to this. They said, okay, well, everyone's in lockdown now in our city. Let's hire people in different countries and access that global talent pool. And then the mid-market companies followed, and now eventually the institutions are following and the big corporations. So I think the pandemic was really a catalyst in something that was always going to happen.
Deel is something that we all need to be more effective in HR. What is the future of Deel? Where do you see Deel going in 5 years compared to where it is today? And can you share with us, just so everybody's on the same page, where is Deel today, and then where would you like to see it go?
Yeah, Deel today offers companies a few different products and services. We offer companies contractor invoicing services to ensure that contractors are invoicing correctly, they're registered in the correct way. Next product is an employer of record, where we have entities in over 100 different countries to hire people as full-time employees on your behalf. And the third major product is a payroll product, where we will plug into your entity, into your tax ID, and run payroll for you. We have a number of adjacent products, such as mobility and immigration services. We have a HRIS information system, and many, many others. Where Deel is headed is into big data. We have a large amount of customers on the platform today, but in the next few years, we aspire to have millions of customers on the platform. That's millions of end workers. And we'll use that data and those insights to better inform companies to make better decisions.
Deel specializes in attracting the best talent, and I think part of building a strong company is culture. And when you have so many different types of people, how do you foster a strong global culture? Do you have any tips, like 3 top tips you could give companies? Because, for example, with women in tech, when we read a job description, we may be looking for something different than someone else, right? So what kind of tips can you give us that have been effective in attracting the right talent so that they feel inspired to work for our companies?
Yeah, I think it's celebrating the magnificent parts of different cultures within our society. I'll give you a very tangible example. I grew up in the UK, where soccer or football is huge. So we celebrate that. We celebrate soccer events and football events, but we don't just celebrate that in the UK team, we celebrate that globally. Now, if we go to subcontinental Asia, we go to India, we celebrate cricket. You know, that's a magnificent part of culture there, and that method can be repeated in all different parts of the world. And I think when you celebrate that in a global and public forum, you're making people feel really proud of their own culture, and then you're also educating their peers, and that's a really fantastic thing.
Everybody's access so much information here, so much new information. There's a zillion sessions, tons of people to meet. It's hard to retain what everybody's listening to in the sessions. A week from now, a month from now, a year from now, if everybody in the audience and everyone tuning in remembers one thing from this session, what would you want that one takeaway to be?
Well, this audience and the viewers that are watching, we're all in business in some way or another. The common theme is business. And in business, in order for things to work, you need people, whether it's people that you're working with within your company, or it's collaboration through partnership or through commercial relationships. And those people need to be hired, retained, recruited. And what I would say is take a global lens. If you're not already hiring outside that 30 to 50 mile radius of your office, do it. We never thought we'd have people within 100 countries or 100 plus countries at Deel, and today we do, and it's really fantastic.
Thank you so much. I've interviewed so many people on the Women in Tech podcast, hundreds and hundreds, and there's a favorite question I ask, so I'd love to ask you too. It's very simple, but it's very important. And in your career, what is the best piece of advice you've been given at any stage of your career to help accelerate you forward?
It's advice I've given myself, and I think it's to be yourself and maximize confidence. I think
This is advice you've given or received?
Received.
Received.
You want the given or
No,
the received?
no, the received, and then I'll take the given as well.
Yeah, so it's be yourself. And let me give you another tangible example. I grew up in the UK and did a natural environment degree at the local university, which was in land surveying, and went to go down that corporate path. And I decided that wasn't me. You know, I went to that job every day for 1 year and hated it. And myself was to work on technology projects and to travel and to solve problems. So I followed that advice, And I put down the suit and I put on my plain clothes and I went and worked at a tech startup on a very, very low salary. And I had a lot of fun doing it and eventually graduated through the different roles and positions.
And the advice that you'd give?
I think advice that I give is always identify the problem before the solution.
100%, yes. And then how can people connect with you? How can they stay in touch? Where should Deel sit in their mind?
I think anything global HR, Deel should be front of mind. If you're hiring cross-border, if you need help getting somebody a visa or a work permit, if you need help running payroll, no matter what the country is, no matter which region or continent it's on, we will be able to help.
Dan, thank you so much for hanging out with Expand North Star. My name is Espree Devora with the Women in Tech podcast. If you go to womenintechshow.com, you could listen to the podcast. Dan, this is amazing. Make sure to check out Deel. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.